the return of European football officially back this week with the Champions League resuming, starting off the 2021-22 season. Saw Barca struggle a little bit. Today we saw Sheriff beat Shakhtar Donetsk. Sheriff was the team that bounced Red Star Belgrade. Like I said, I said it at the time, watch out for these guys. Just because they're from Moldova doesn't mean that they don't have some talent. But kind of fast forward, and Red Star get their Europa League campaign off tomorrow as they face Braga in Belgrade, first match. If you remember back, I did kind of like a wrap up of the group selections, or draw, whatever you want to call it, and I said it would be great to get Braga in the first match away in Portugal, because then you get the toughest match. Obviously, the toughest team away from home right away, and that's exactly what happened to Red Star last year against Hoffenheim. They faced Hoffenheim in Germany, lost, I believe it was 2-0 in Germany, but I think that kind of set the mood for the rest of the group, because they lost and they kind of saw, like, we're good enough to go through this group, and they pushed the team, I think, a lot harder. And Red Star also had a lot of injuries in that match, should be mentioned, and honestly, so did Hoffenheim, because it was still COVID, there was players out. If I remember correctly, a Hoffenheim player got subbed off at halftime because his wife was giving birth. So he went to the hospital to visit her. But there's always some kind of, especially last year with the COVID stuff, there's injuries. There's always some kind of rifts that you kind of have to get through. But I'm here to talk about the Braga match. Obviously, starting off with the lineup as always, Borjan, I expect to see in net, Degenek and Dragovic, the center back pairing, Rodic on one wing, and on the other side, it could be Gajic, it could be Gobelic. I think that it could be Gobelic, just because Stankovic has kind of shuffled the deck a little bit, and he's given both guys some minutes. Gobelic didn't play at the weekend where Red Star won, I believe it was 3-0 against Proletar, but Gajic played that match. And I think he's going to go with Gobelic again, which is what he's done for pretty much most of the qualifying phases. He's giving Gobelic the minutes. I think he's been a little bit in better form than Gajic, you can argue. If it's a 4-2-3-1, I think it's going to be Sonogo and Kanga. I think, like I said, I cemented those two guys as the starters in the Europa League. And unless, God forbid, guys pick up cards, I think those are the two players that they're going to go with. Krstičić has been a lot better in the last 2 or 3 matches for Red Star. It's kind of showing what he showed when, in his first stint with Red Star. Then you get to the attacking four, and this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Kataj and Ivanic for sure are going to be there. And on that other wing, it's kind of a toss-up. Stankovic could literally go with a false 9. To mention, Milan Pavkov is out of the match due to injury. The Eternal Derby is on Sunday, I believe. He might not be able to go for that either. So now you're kind of resting on Diony, a guy who is not in great form. You have Ryszard Živkovic, who just came and played 45 minutes for the club on the weekend. He came on for Diony. Diony didn't really show too much in that match in the half that he did play. Or do you go with Ben, kind of the false 9 guy, and the guy who scored a lot of big goals for Red Star? Falco is an interesting player to kind of throw in the mix here as well, because he has been out of form pretty much since he got here. He had one good match against Cariat in the qualifying phase, which Red Star ended up winning, and he scored a goal. But that's pretty much been the only really good game that he's had for Red Star. I'm going to rule Falco out on the wing position. I think it could be Ben on the wing, and I think that Stankovic will put Diony up top, just because he has been with the club a little bit longer. Živkovic, don't really know how much he's going to be able to give you in terms of minutes, because again, he's just getting acclimated to the team. What kind of form is he in? The stamina questions always arise with new players who come to the club. But I think it will be Diony up top and Ben on the wing. Personally, that's what I think Stankovic is going to do. Personally, what I would do is I would bring in Falco for like one little last ride with Red Star to see if you can get anything out of him, to see if he can kind of get to his good form, so to say, which he hasn't showed much for Red Star. But I would start him on the other wing, and I would start Ben up top. Like I said, he has scored a lot of big goals for Red Star in the time that he has been with the club. And look, at halftime, I believe 5 subs still in Europa League. At halftime, if it's not working out, you could either take out Ben and you could put on Živkovic, or you can take out, Falco and move Ben to the wing and have Živkovic as a striker or Diony or whatever the case may be. But I think that's the lineup that we're going to see. So Ben on the wing and Diony up top. And in terms of keys to the matchup, Braga, to kind of look back a little bit, Braga drew their match this past weekend. They played a 3-4-3 formation, or a 3-4-2-1, depending on how you look at it. I think it's a 3-4-3 though. You got to stop their main ball distributors, kind of, which is the Orta brothers. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And yeah, like I always say, limit set pieces. We have had some trouble defending set pieces. We haven't been clinical on set pieces this season, though. If you remember back, we had something like 30 goals in the 2020-21 season. I'm looking for us to regain that form. A lot of this is going to go through Ivanic and Kata, as it always does. So those are going to be the two players that, we're going to rely on to where the attacks are going to start. And Kanga, that distribution from that central midfield position is going to be key to us, because we're a completely different team when he's not in the lineup. And I'm looking forward to see what he can do against some better opposition. And Sonogo as well. He's that kind of stopper in front of the midfield that can do a little bit of everything. He's just got to watch the card situation and not picking up cheap yellows and, God forbid, reds, because he has been known to kind of get wild at times, just like Kanga. So we got to be able to keep them at bay. Hopefully a full stadium. I know the Corona situation, the cases in Serbia are kind of sky high, so we'll see what happens in terms of the fans. But hopefully a good turnout. The only thing that I'm kind of wary of is the striker position. Apart from maybe the goalkeeping situation, even though we have Popovic and Gordic, Borjan is the best goalkeeper. Like up top, when Paco is out, you're kind of shuffling the deck a little bit, so you might throw in some players who are out of form, and that's just the kind of hand that we've been dealt for now. And hopefully Pavko is ready to go for the weekend. And yeah, it should be a great match.